So welcome to my episode on 10 out of 10 modern games on modern consoles. I've talked about retro games that I thought were 10 out of 10s. I've talked about arcade games that I thought were 10 out of 10 games. Well, I want to talk about some games that have come out in the last bunch of years that for the first time I'm going to label that they're 10 out of 10 games. To me, personally, and I have to say this every single time, there's no official list out of that are 10 out of 10 games for modern games. There's no official list. These are just my personal choices. They mean something to me. And today I'm going to talk about all the reasons why. And the reason why I want to do it is because I like these games. And I've talked about them over the last bunch of years, for sure. And the reason why I'm talking about some of them again is that if any of you guys haven't played these games, I'm highly recommending them. I really am. I really love these games for so many reasons, and I just would love for all of you guys to experience the fun that I had. And so guys, down below, let me know what are some 10 out of 10 modern games that you played recently or in the last few years. Now, my first game that I'm picking is my game of the decade. It's one of the games of the decade for me personally. And I originally played it on the PS4. I got about 20 plus hours in, and I enjoyed it, but there was a lot going on at that time, and I kind of was like, I'll get back to this game in the future. Where, man, it was last year, I had a little bit of time off, and I picked up the game again, but I got the PS5 game, I'm reaching for it here, and I put it in, and I'm like, let's give this more of a shot. And I gotta be honest with you, a lot of open world games, they don't turn me off, but I just know that they're going to be a huge time sink, and I'm like, oh, do I have the amount of time for this? Do I want to invest my time into this? I got to figure out what I want to do because I have a channel about video games, so am I going to dedicate this amount of time to this? This is a wonderful one. I didn't have to do it for review. I didn't have to do it for any reason other than to play it for my own entertainment. And boy, was I entertained with this game, Ghost of Tsushima. Right here. This game blew me away. And I played a lot of open world games, and I've enjoyed them to varying degrees. But this game was one of those things, and I know I say this on the show, I'm not even religious in my day-to-day life, but this game was a religious experience for me. And the reason why is because when I was playing it, I wasn't thinking about time, I wasn't thinking about things I needed to do. All I was thinking about all the time was playing this game. I couldn't get away from it. And it's going back to feudal Japan, an open world style of game, and it's incredible. And the one thing that I will say is the story had me. And I gotta admit, in a lot of these open world games, you're kind of all over the place, and the story kind of sometimes feels like it gets kind of lost all over the place. But no matter where I went in this game, I remember saying at one point, I'm just gonna go south. And I started going south, but the story kept bringing me back into the overall narrative. I couldn't escape it if I wanted to. And what gets me about this game is the controls are perfect. I love the stands, I love the standoffs with other samurai, I love the blood, I love the gore. I just love the world setting. I love following the wind, leading me to my next location. I liked the amount of stuff to do. And even when I finished the game, there was still so much to do. And I still haven't finished everything in the game because there's so many side quests, so many missions. And this is one of those games I'm going to recommend. If you've done open world games, you're like, I don't know, please give this one a chance. There's something with this game. And it's one of those ones because like the Assassin's Creed games are big games and I really appreciate them, but it's not Ghost of Tsushima for me. There's a heart, there's a soul, there's a level of dedication they put into this game in all of it. I mean, there's so many funny bits. You're getting attacked by bears in the open fields as you're riding by on your horse. Stuff like that, little details. The whole world is packed. You're never just bored. As soon as you're going from A to B, there's so much in between, and you get suckered into it, and you get into the different characters that inhabit this world, and it makes you feel a part of the world. And I gotta say, I really felt a part of Ghost of Tsushima, and my God, we all know it's coming. there's got to be a sequel in the works for the future. And the only other thing I want to say is I love the colors in this game. I've got to get that in there. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience gameplay-wise. And yes, I can't wait to play a second game of this high recommendation, 10 out of 10 for sure. Now, this next game is an interesting one for me, and it's one of those ones where you play it and 4 years have passed, and you're like, I really like that game. And the more and more you think about it, and the more you go back to playing it, you're like, no, I really like this game, like a lot. And it's almost like a fine wine. Over time, it gets better and better and better. This game gets better for me over time. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, Chris Tang, you know, the Sega World Champion, and we were just chatting about games and what we're playing and all of that. And he's like, oh, I'm playing this game again. And he's like, dude, he goes, I love it. And I said, you know what, Chris, I said, for me, I said, I'm starting to believe it's a 10 out of 10 game. And we kind of arrived at that conclusion together. And I was like, I'm going to put it in my list. And that is, oh my God, look here. Ys 8, the Lacrimosa of Donna. Yes. And you know what's interesting about this game for me? It's a 10 out of 10 game, and the game has a few problems for me. It really does. There's too much dialogue. There's too many characters talking about absolutely nothing. The map system, I'm not a lover of, but my God, the gameplay and everything within this game comes together and creates for an incredible action RPG. And the Ys series has had its ups and downs over the years. This is an absolute high that gets better for me over the years, and especially playing the PS4 version. That's the version I'd recommend for sure. That's the version I played. What is it about this game that is so good? I've said it so many times. I have. I like the setting. It's a deserted island. You wash up upon it like, you know, Adol always does, and then you start exploring the island, and there's this mystery about it. There really is, but it's about the grinding. It's about the action RPG mechanics. It's about the other characters you collect. It's about switching out your characters back and forth, using their strengths and weaknesses against enemies, the boss encounters, the world. Everything comes together for a perfect action RPG. And I will say this, if you've never played an Ys game before, jump in with this game right here. It will not disappoint. In fact, I would hope that it would be a jumping off place for you into the next Ys games, the other Ys games that are there. I like Ys 9 a lot more than a lot of people do, but Ys 8 is a better game, and there's something about it. I've even played the music of this game for years on the channel because it's a masterpiece as well. One of those soundtracks that gets better with time. Yes, this is a great fine wine right here, Ys 8. Now, this next game is fascinating because I got into arguments with friends of mine who said, oh, I think it's a good game, but not game of the year. And I was up there saying, no, it's one of my games of the year. And we're here a bunch of years later, and I'm saying it's a 10 out of 10 game for me. And it's a game that I did a first thoughts on, I did a review on, and then I even did another video, final thoughts on, because I couldn't stop talking about it. So if you want to see me really go in depth into the game, do my final thoughts video on it. I really get into it. There's a bit of spoilers in there, but I'm not going to give spoilers here. This game was kind of announced out of nowhere. Nobody saw it coming. And it was exactly everything that I wanted, and here we go. The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening, based on the Game Boy game. Yes, and the Game Boy game was one of those games that, as a kid, I played it a bit, but I thought it was pretty good, you know, that was it. I kind of forgot about it. And then when they showed the anime opening of this game, I was like, we're going back into the 90s in a way. And that's what it was for me. And I can also explain why I like this game. When I was this is going to sound crazy. When I was a younger kid, after I finished Zelda 2, I would draw all these little maps and things of what I wanted Zelda 3 to be like. And I remember thinking, I want a small world with a lot of stuff and a lot of secrets. And I remember thinking that at that time, and we're talking like 1989, 1990 for that one. And then all these years later, I got this game And it gave me the feeling of what I was wishing for as a child. Really, it did, because it gave me a Link that was very cartoony, almost claymation looking, and I really liked the graphical style a hell of a lot. The soundtrack was wonderful. The game, this is going to sound really strange as well, the game was very haunting for me. It was very haunting for me, especially after playing it, I think it was in 2019, and then all of a sudden I got COVID and I got really, really sick for a long time. And I would listen to this music while I was sick, and it was haunting. But the game didn't leave my brain, and I think that's what I'm trying to say. And very, very great stuff. I mean, great bosses, an ending that is emotional. I remember I finished the game, and I kind of was like a little emotional. It really kind of hit me. I was like, that was successful. That was successful. So yes, there's a bit of slowdown in it. I know that was the one thing that always kind of frustrated me about the game. But overall, the bosses, the world building, everything within it, I could talk for hours, and I have, about Link's Awakening. A high recommendation, and I just like the overhead graphics of it all. Okay, this next game was my game of the year last year. Me and Kim played the ever-loving crap out of it, and we adored it. We absolutely adored it. Everything from the graphics to the music, the gameplay, the demon designs, the demon recruiting. Loved every aspect of it, and still my game of the year for last year. And now I'm going to pick it up here, the Fall of Man edition, right here, and say that Shimagami Tensei V is a 10 out of 10 game for me. It really, really is. I'm even wearing the shirt here. I had to represent. And why is this the case? I mean, there's been a lot of Shimagami Tensei games. This game got it right. I liked every single thing about it. Go check out our videos on it for a real in-depth analysis on the game that we do for the review, and even talking about it afterwards and stuff like that, and some games we've been playing. Everything comes together. It really is a dark style Pokemon game for anybody who hasn't played this style of game. It's dark. It's got a really twisted, evil story, and I loved every single thing about it. And me and Kim put so many hours into playing that game and trying to get every single demon that we could and recruit them, and then combining them with other demons to create even greater demons. Fun stuff. I'm telling you, I can't wait to see this get ported to other systems and see more of a performance enhancement going forward. There's got to be different versions of the game. I don't know how long Nintendo has an exclusive with the game. Maybe it's just an exclusive for the Nintendo Switch. We'll see in time. Now, yes, you've seen me talk about this game over the years. I'm talking about it one last time right now, because it is one of those games I really would love everybody to play. Everybody. Even if you're not into RPGs, maybe this could be the bridge to bring you over into the world of Dragon Quest and RPGs with Dragon Quest XI. A game that I think most of you have played. But it's one that I have to go on about. It's one of those games that I look back on now and I'm like, yep, that's a really great game. And I think it's great even for beginner players in RPGs in general. If you've never played an RPG, it's a good way in, because it's not that hard, it's not that difficult, it's easy to get into. And then yes, there's a lot of content later on that kind of ups the difficulty, but it's a really nice place to jump in to the Dragon Quest world. And all the Dragon Quest games are different, but there's some themes that are the same. They got some sound effects that are the same, some monsters that are the same that are brought into other games and all of that. Yes, but you have a nice level of comfort here jumping in. You have a beautiful anime, cartoony aesthetic to this, and it's beautiful. I mean, every single city is completely different architecture, and it works for me. And I really enjoyed the characters in this game. They really stood out to me, and I feel really at home within this world. And I was sad to see the game end, and I was like, oh no, it's over. And I wonder if we'll ever get a game like this again. And the reason why I say that is because Dragon Quest XII, they're saying it's going to be a very dark style of game, and they're going to change the combat. And I got to say, I'm a little nervous. There's always been a tradition with Dragon Quest with its world building and its combat. The combat has always been there, the turn-based. Yes, we've gone 3D, changed it around a little bit, but it's fundamentally always remained that way. So I'm getting kind of scared. I'm like, oh, hopefully we don't do the action RPG, fighting for a Dragon Quest game. I hope they don't go that direction. And I hope that the dark aesthetic of it is just that something evil happens in the world, half the world is destroyed. It's that kind of thing, and it's just not too dingy. I want to see that still, happy, kind of colorful Dragon Quest vibe come out of it. And I'm sure it's in fine hands with these folks. They know exactly what they're doing. And those are my games, guys. Those are my 10 out of 10 games. I've said how much I've loved these games over the years, but now I'm saying, to me personally, they're 10 out of 10 games. Let me know down below, what are some 10 out of 10 games that you guys love out there on modern consoles? Let me know. So anyways, guys, until next time.